So I believe we probably have everyone except for I haven't heard from Kelsey Ralph, and but otherwise everyone
Perfect.
who's coming ashore should be coming ashore.
So let's call this meeting to order. So let's do a roll call of officers. S.J. Klein, District 1. So I'm not staring at my normal screen, I'm staring at a phone. So if someone's using any of the hand icons or anything, I can't see it.
No, I don't see him on the list right now.
Okay, I'm present, District 2. Steve Horn, I think Steve wrote in previously and said he wasn't going to be attending, correct?
That's correct, he's excused.
We have Kelsey Ralph from District 4, and I don't think she's on the line yet. We have Jonathan Lang, District 5. Is he on the phone?
Present.
There we go. How about Mike Finster, District 6?
Here.
Perfect. Bruce Bustamante?
Here.
Debbie Rinke? John Scooter?
Present.
Bob French?
Present.
And Brian Looney, I remember he is now off of P&Z and he listed the replacement. Is the replacement present?
Yeah, Jim Winchester from Planning and Zoning is in attendance.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Okay, so we got our roll call done. So we have some public involvement announcements.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make that. AMATS committee meetings are open to the public, and the public is provided an opportunity to comment at each meeting. We'll have presentation of a business item by staff or a consultant. After that, the committee will be given a chance to discuss it, and then the public will be invited to comment. In this case, in our virtual world, we are doing the Teams Live event, as Christine mentioned, and so there's a bit of a lag. If there are people who are dialed in on the Teams Live and listening, we have it's about a 30 to 45 second lag. So if there's anyone over there and they want to comment, we have to do the whole let's wait a little bit to make sure people are there and wanting to comment. So, and of course, if they're not, then we don't have to worry about it.
Perfect.
And that's perfect.
So we're going to move to approve. Well, we're going to do the approval of the agenda right there. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to take a look at it. I was going to first reach out to SJ. I saw that you read that correspondence right there that we're obviously not going to make any official actions by AMATS CAC, but under number 7, general information, if you would like to discuss what you'd previously corresponded about, I would be open to amending the agenda under that. Do you have any interest, SJ?
I believe he is not dialed in as of yet.
Okay. I will.
Mr. Chair, before we go any further, I just wanted to let folks know Christine made a sign-in sheet, and it's on the I believe it's in the chat for this meeting. So it's fairly easy to just go in there and type your information. Name and email, I think, are the only requireds. It's something that the feds ask us to keep track of for Title VI non-discrimination act policies, et cetera, but it's all voluntary. So if you get an opportunity, if you could check out that sign-in sheet and fill it out, that'd be great.
To repeat that, you said it's voluntary, Craig?
Oh yeah. There, it is the sign-in sheet asks for. I'm trying to pull it up again here. The sign-in sheet asks for name, organization, phone number, email address, gender, and what ethnicity, and all of that stuff is voluntary. If you can, your name would be great, just so we check of it, but we can't require the rest of the stuff.
So I'm doing this on a small device, just I don't know if anybody else is, but I hit the chat button right there and I see Bruce. So just where I see Bruce listed, Bruce Bustamante, Anchorage Chamber of Commerce. Is that all you're looking for? It looked like there was something more in depth that you pulled up on your screen sharing.
Yeah, this is
There's a link that's all the way up at the top of the chat. says attendance sheet.
It's
Yeah.
not showing it on the mobile device.
It doesn't show it on a regular computer either.
It
So-
doesn't. We
Yeah,
can forward it out afterwards as well in your email.
Yeah,
So if everybody,
just so folks know, this is our first crack at this. It's something the feds like us to keep track of, and so we're winging it here. If it works today, that's great. If not, it's not the end of the world. Don't waste too much time on it.
okay. So I am going to look for a motion to amend the agenda from somebody. Specifically, I would like to leave a spot under general information. We won't be taking any action, but if SJ Klein does end up joining us, I would like for him to have the opportunity, at least to speak on his thoughts of MTP and his community council, I think it was referencing. Can I get a potential amendment to add that under general information?
Mr. Winchester's on the chat and said so moved.
Perfect. Can I get a second?
Bob French will second.
Perfect. So with that amendment made, I'm looking to approve the agenda as amended.
I guess hearing no objection.
Hearing no objections, we'll move forward. Sounds good. So we have approval of meetings of the 27th of October. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes and see if there's anything we need to change?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jonathan Lang. I need to abstain because I was not in attendance at that meeting.
I also need to abstain because I was not in attendance either. Was there
Mr.
a
Chair,
quorum?
this is Craig. I'll let you know that this is something we've dealt with over the years. It frequently happens at the policy committee when you have a change in administration, and clearly you're not going to have that particular mayor ever in attendance again, or an assembly member, or things of that nature. So parliamentary procedures allow you to vote on approval of the minutes even if you were not at the meeting. That's the ruling. Now, you're still welcome to abstain, that's fine. But the parliamentary Robert's Rules of Order allow you can vote on it even if you weren't actually at the meeting.
Good to go.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve, Mike Fenster.
Get a second?
Better.
Perfect. The minutes are approved. So we don't have any action items, it looks like. We have project and plan updates. Number A is Glen Highway, Artillery and Highland Road, PEL. You gonna tell us it's canceled?
I'm
That
not.
was on the agenda last time in October, and Aaron mentioned that you wanted it to be on the agenda and that you would be presenting, so we carried it over if you were still interested in doing that.
Oh, sure. So what I had heard, and this hasn't been confirmed, maybe Craig can, but the PEL, both for Artillery and Highland Road, has been canceled, but there was $6 million appropriated for, I think it was actually a Subursa project for traffic mitigation for Eagle River, and they were going to use a portion of that traffic mitigation for the design phase of Artillery Road. So I think Highland's still on the agenda somewhere on, well, it's on MTP, but I don't know if DOT is actively pursuing Highland at this point, but they are moving forward with Artillery Road reconfiguration of the overpass. Would be completely remodeling that entire area. Action item, any questions?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if James Starzyk from DOT has any insight on that.
Oh, that's
He may-
right. James is here.
Maybe if he does.
Yeah, as far as the Artillery Highland Road PELs, those are both being closed. Those are not going forward. And I don't have the information off the top of my head, but I believe the last thing I heard was that there was I believe an HSIP project to address the Highland Road on-ramp to southbound Glen that was in the works. But I don't have any specifics on where that is at.
We can do some research and see what we can find out for you, though.
That would be awesome. That's actually a really hot topic in Chugach Eagle River, with the different community councils and Subursa have all been asking about what's the status of Highland Road, and I thought Highland Road was pretty much dead in the water. So if there is a HSIP potentially funded project right there, yeah, James, that would be huge, at least out here in Chugach Eagle River.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I don't, as I said, I don't have any official direction from that. I'm just trying to recall some discussions that I've heard, and I believe that was the case, that there was either a project being developed or a desire to develop a project doing a intermediate solution for Highland before. I think the grand scheme is to have to reconstruct that overpass altogether in the future.
Well, thank you, James. So we have any other questions on that before we move on?
This is Bob French. They just finished kind of reconstructing that whole Artillery Road overpass. So I guess it seems like that might be a little bit premature to go through and redo everything again.
So they added a lane. You actually hit on a really good. So as far as the traffic merging onto the highway, you're 100% right that it is a night and day difference. But traffic is still backs up all the way through Eagle River, and how to deal with all that traffic that backs up is when there's any type of large incident or the highway tries to bypass through Eagle River, we have large traffic congestion issues that pretty much bring, what would that be, South Eagle River to a grinding halt. So the idea is to figure out a way that could handle the traffic. It's not so much, I mean, I don't even know if they'd be keeping the bridge or not right there, but I think it'd be potentially some roundabouts dealing with the traffic light. Would that be in front of the Jack White building? But you are right, that was a big improvement to add the third lane, so there was a dedicated lane going across the Glen Highway, the Eagle River Bridge.
Right, yeah. And I've certainly witnessed it backing up way through the old Glen Highway. But it seemed a little bit strange that they couldn't have tried to at least do something with some different southbound lane on-ramp there.
Yeah. Well, duly noted. So we have our number 6B non-motorized plan, public review draft, and virtual open house. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review the non-motorized plan.
Yeah, Matt, and if Craig wants to pull it up, I was just going to make sure that everybody knew that it is up on our website for review. And then Joni is helping Joni organize an open house on February 18th between 5 and 7. We'll have more information on that, but it'll be a virtual event. She's going to present more about the plan and take public comments and questions during that event.
that brings a huge question: is when is the end of the public comment period?
March 5th.
March 5th.
We normally do 1 month comment periods for most of our stuff. The MTP, the 20-year plan, is a 45-day comment period, but we had so much interest in this non-motorized plan that we figured it really made sense to do a longer one. So that's the 2-month comment period. Give folks lots of time to look at it.
Perfect. Any questions? Hearing none. 2040 long-range transportation plan.
So I'm just gonna see if I can explain this in terms that I can understand, that hopefully you can understand. So you're aware of what we call the MTP, or the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and that's our 20-year plan. That's looks at everything that we might do in the AMATS area using any sources of funds, whether it's federal funds or municipal bonds or state funds, etc. Normally we approve the MTP at the same time as we approve a municipal long-range transportation plan. They're usually the same document, and we first go through P&Z, and then we go through the assembly, and then it gets approved by our policy committee. That's the normal course of action. Well, this time around, we just had we got into a time crunch, and we were getting to the point where we didn't think we'd be able to get through planning and zoning and the assembly in time to get it done by the federal deadline. The federal rules require you to update your plan every 4 years, and we were getting very close to that deadline. And if you don't get it approved in time, you go into what's called a conformity lapse, and you can't spend any money until you're out of that conformity lapse. And so because of that, we decided that we would splinter off the LRTP from the MTP. So we approved the MTP in December. The LRTP is still going strong. We went through Planning and Zoning Commission with the LRTP, and next it goes to the Assembly. However, when it's done at the Assembly, that's it. It doesn't then need to go to the Policy Committee. So it is out for review right now. It is next to go to the Assembly meeting. We don't have that date scheduled yet, but it's it's basically the same document as the MTP, just going through another process. So I just wanted folks to be aware of that. We're not, we weren't going to go and create a brand new LRTP. We just don't have the staff or the funding to do it. It's not an AMATS plan, so it's challenging to spend AMATS funds on it. We can do a little bit, but there's not a lot of room for redoing the entire thing. But I just wanted folks to know that there is something out there that might get a little confusing. That's what the LRTP is. It's the Municipality of Anchorage's long-range transportation plan. I would be happy to attempt to answer questions on that.
This is Bob French. So if the LRTP is not an AMATS plan, who is responsible for that?
Well, the planning department is the one that's responsible for doing that. Normally, this may not have come across too clearly, but normally it's one of those let's kill two birds with one stone and have the MTP serve as the LRTP, and we do it at the same time. In this case, we splintered it off just in the interest of time. But the planning department is the one that's taking care of the LRTP. We are helping with that. The staffing on that.
Just to address, Bob, you'd made a comment about sending out the non-motorized plan. I don't know if Aaron, somebody from AMATS did actually send it to FCC, and it did get transmitted to all the community councils. Whether or not the community council chose to share that with its list, I don't know, but I do know it was sent out to the community councils. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh my gosh, they didn't send that out. That's a huge one. And I pulled it up and I just checked our Birchwood email, and yes, they did send out the non-motorized AMATS plan and link I think they sent a link to do comment to non-motorized plan 60-day public review period. The 60-day review, did they send a link? The plan, the website, yeah, they gave a link to the plan, the website. I'm assuming that's a link to comment on it. But anyways, just wanted to add that there.
Thank you, sir.
So there's not really a role that we would be taking with the 2040, although AMATS staff is assisting with it. That's not a specific topic that we would weigh into, Craig, or did I understand that?
That's correct. No, that's correct. We won't be coming to any AMATS committee because it's just a municipal plan. It's the same document that the CAC saw when it was the MTP. The same information is in it. All the public involvement stuff that was done, all the committee meetings, all that sort of stuff was done for the MTP, and it's the same document. It's just we just have to go to that process. It's part of Title 21.
Perfect. So how about 2050 MTP?
So the 2050 MTP, again, as I said, we update. It's almost like a continuous update cycle, but we basically approved the one in December, and we were already in the process of getting the next one rolling. So right now we have our RFP for that next 2050 MTP is in our purchasing department, and they are making sure we dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and following all the federal rules, etc. Soon that the RFP will hit the streets, and we'll look forward to see what companies want to bid on helping us do that. Obviously, very, very early in the game, but just want to let folks know that it has gone to purchasing, and we're hoping that it comes out of there soon and can hit the streets.
So last year, Craig, was it last year or the year before, we did a work session. Obviously a lot farther along than where we are right now with 2050, but do you think the CAC would have an opportunity to participate with the 2050 MTP?
We expect and hope that you folks will be participating a lot. I mean, this is kind of what the CAC is geared for. You know, the reason why we created a member from each assembly district was to make sure that we got the community involvement. The idea being that you take this information back to the community councils in your area and share the information. So yeah, we absolutely want the CAC to be involved heavily.
Perfect. So we'll be extended to for what's it called, work sessions in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any questions from committee members? Hearing none, let's move over to some general information. AMATS quarterly newsletter.
Yeah, it's Christine. I'll present on that. We just wanted to give you a heads up that in 2021 we're going to do a quarterly newsletter. Updates, committee updates, plan, project updates, and maybe a little transportation 101 topic each quarter. So,
hey, Christine.
Yes?
Do you have 2 devices with you?
I do, to run to run the live meeting. I have to have a couple different computers turned on. Am I echoing?
Gotcha. Yes, you are echoing, and it is making it a bit difficult to understand you. And I understand we are trying this for the first time, but yeah, maybe some kind of workaround for that in the future.
How about I can give a quick version of what Christine just shared. We are trying to do a quarterly newsletter to send out to the folks in our email list and any folks who might be interested, whether they already know it or not. And it just would be to update folks on what we're doing at AMATS, kind of do some AMATS 101 in there, familiarize folks with what we're required to do, let people know who works for AMATS, who are on the committees, things of that nature, just to kind of update and keep folks in the loop on the things that we're doing. So that's what the quarterly newsletter will be about. We've been thinking about it for a while, and Christine is very good at what she does in that area. If you don't know her, have known her before, she used to work at our public transit department, and she did a lot of outreach over there and public involvement, which is one of the main reasons why we snagged her over to AMATS. But she'll be doing that same sort of stuff in a graphically friendly format to help people learn more about AMATS.
Perfect. And I would just mention, you guys have a huge resource that I don't know if you guys have utilized it fully or not, but his name is Bob French. So Bob is the Federation of Community Councils delegate. So I think this newsletter, I'm assuming you would, but transmitting this newsletter to FCC or Bob would give him some direct material that he could share with all of the community councils when we have our monthly meeting. Just giving a reminder that Bob is a key you have a conduit regardless of if you intend or not, if there is information that you are trying to share with the community councils.
I'll tell you what, we hope that a lot of people forward this on to friends, neighbors, countrymen, etc. The far and wide, the reach is great.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments about our AMATS quarterly newsletter? We're almost through this, it looks like. So committee comments. I guess actually, I mean, before I keep going there,
Matt?
Yeah.
This is John Scudder. I just want to say that I concur with that idea, and I think it's a great idea to let our to get the information out to the community in a written format.
Because I think they're ready. You know, it's very interesting. Is there's some kind of disconnect along the line, or maybe it's just laziness that people talk and they don't actually want to follow through. But I will say there's I've been on FCC not a ridiculous amount of time, for a couple of years now, and it seems as of lately there's definitely more and more interest with AMATS and understanding MTP, the projects that are on there, and maybe highway to highway or Midtown congestion relief is spurring a lot of this right now. But I think a lot of the community councils would like to be engaged on this and figuring out. I know you guys are. This newsletter is a great step in that direction. But yeah, I think the more methods that can engage community councils, I think you get a good conduit. I mean, I know that is our job, is we are district and organization representatives. But yeah, the more community input, the merrier, I still believe.
Yeah. It's a tool I can use to disseminate to people on the base. So, thank you.
Yep. Do we have any committee member comments?
Mr. Chair, this is Craig. If there are any comments, I do have two other things I wanted to mention, but I'll wait to make sure that I make comments. Okay. So we have a couple of things. In our bylaws, it talks about in our first quarter meeting, we have election of officers, chair and vice chair. So obviously we didn't include that on the as an action item. That's I forgot it, so my mistake. But I'd like to have people thinking about that for the next quarterly meeting to figure that one out. I can't remember the exact terms. Christine, do you remember how long they last? Is it a one-year term? I forget.
For chair and vice chair?
Yes.
1 year, yes. And at the annual meeting, we're supposed to reestablish that.
And repeated for as many times as we can convince them to continue in that role.
Yes.
Or something like that. So next quarter, we'll have that as an opportunity. And then the other thing is, we got an email from our municipal ombudsman, Daryl Hess, who actually also happens to serve as a public member on our AMATS Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And he expressed a concern about the use of the word citizen in our Citizens Advisory Committee. And I'm told that there are some people. Well, let me just explain, because that was my initial thought too. That's my initial thought, but I guess there are some legal connotations that some people place, and maybe everyone does, or I just don't know it, but place on the word citizen, and whether or not that's an actual citizen of the United States of America, or, you know, the whole, you know, whether they're here legally or not. I don't know. I just know that that was a concern of the ombudsman, and he asked it to be included on the agendas for the technical advisory committee and the policy committee so that they can think about a possible name change. I will tell you that in discussing this with my boss and my boss's boss, my boss, Michelle McNulty, who's the head of the planning department, suggested, well, probably would make everyone happy if we change it to the community advisory committee, because then it encompasses everybody, and then we still get to keep the CAC moniker. So I hadn't thought of that, but that is kind of a way of going, all right, you know, we can modify things a little bit and make some folks happy, and it's not too much of a change. So it is not, we haven't, I got the letter a couple days ago, so it hasn't had a chance to go to any committees, but I wanted you folks to be aware of it. The more I think about it, I'm calming down and thinking it's not as much of a deal as I thought it was. But anyway, I just want to let you folks know.
Good to go. I have full faith in the policy and the TAC that they will make appropriate decisions for us.
There you go.
Did you have any other comments, Craig?
I am done, sir.
So how about committee member comments? Yes, I would make a comment. If hearing none right there is, I've thoroughly enjoyed, you know, I don't have a tremendous amount of experience chairing different organizations. I appreciate you guys electing me. Obviously, I would enjoy serving in the future, but at the same time, I do think if there was, I would support it. If there was somebody in that had a strong desire to chair at the same time, I think it's good to get new blood. But just thought I'd pass that on. Any other committee comments before we move on?
Bob French, I appreciate the job that you've done here, Matt. I think it's been very well done.
Thank you, Bob. And I would just give Bob a kudos as well. I thought he's been stepping up tremendously with you know, as much information that he's had. He's taken full advantage of it with Federation Community Councils, and yeah, I think he's been doing a great job at that as well. So moving on to public comments. I don't even know, do we have any members of the public attending right now?
We do, and I've asked for comments, so now we just have to wait about 40 seconds and see if anybody types anything into the chat.
Sounds good. Did someone just join us?
I believe Mr. Klein has joined us.
Hi, sorry.
Well,
I found the link, and I apologize for being late.
No, it's all good. SJ, you actually picked, are there any committee members that would, well, Craig, am I going to violate some statute if I got approval of the committee to bump back to general information?
Not at all. No problem.
Are there any committee members that would object for me moving back up the agenda to 7B that we'd set aside for SJ?
No objection here.
Perfect. So I'm going to move back to 7B that we'd set aside for you, SJ, if you wanted a few minutes to speak on your email correspondence that you'd brought up to the committee.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess just, you know, something that's been on my mind for a while, and, you know, I mean, there are very few opportunities to bring it up with this committee. Just has to do with kind of the priorities set within the MTPs and kind of how they correlate to the different plans that we have in Anchorage, you know, the land use plan, you know, the non-motorized transportation plans, you know, how the MTP coordinates with like transit corridors that exist in the Anchorage land use plan and things like that. And, you know, I know the models that the MTP is based on and the demographics that the MTP is based on are outdated and really don't reflect current, you know, either kind of what has happened over the last 10 years or kind of what is projected to continue happening over the next 10 to 20 years. And I thought that it would make sense for this committee to start a discussion or make some sort of resolution kind of highlighting that, so that kind of aligning the MTP and the model with kind of the current state of Anchorage could become a higher priority than it is right now. You know, I mean, this is something that you know, the public has been discussing and complaining about in different fora for a long time. And as members of one of the committees for AMATS, I feel that we have kind of the responsibility to bring more attention to the issue. So that's kind of, generally speaking, it's more sort of guidance for staff than specific line items in the MTP that I would want to call out right now. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot that needs to kind of a lot that needs to be addressed in updates to the MTP, and I would want to see that happen. And I guess there's a second issue too, but it's related to planning and environmental linkages studies with the state of Alaska, but that's not what the email correspondence was about. So anyway, does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, it does. And so I think we have a couple options moving forward, AJ. So I'm a huge proponent of discussion. So sounds like you're very passionate about this, and it sounded like you were going to draft a resolution, potentially discussing this right here.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is we have a couple of options of how we choose to discuss this. Is you can create a document or a resolution, and you could share it to AMATS staff, which could be distributed out to all the committee members. And I think we have a minimal requirement of a week, but I think it would be for good discussion. I think the more time you can give committee members to read it, formulate opinions, I think the better. But we can do a special meeting, could be an option. And I'm not saying that's the route that we need to go, but we don't necessarily have to wait for our next quarterly meeting. Does that sound about right, Craig, or am I off bounds?
Well, what I would say is this: the next effort at updating an MTP is what I mentioned earlier, and that's the RFP that's in purchasing right now to go forward. So we'll do our next steps. So I don't think there's a time sensitive issue on your dealing with the resolution. Wait to the next quarterly meeting, but I will also say that you know, with the advent of all our meetings being virtual at the moment, it's fairly easy to get a quorum together and do this sort of thing. So I'm fine either way. You know, yeah. I won't. Not too much more to say.
Well, great, thank you, Craig. And I guess the iron's hot just with me right now, so I don't mind putting the resolution together over the next week and distributing it. I'll do that. And you know, I guess just thinking about kind of how we can be more useful as the Citizens Advisory Committee, you know, to this process. I think, you know, meeting quarterly definitely makes it difficult to kind of do things that seem timely, especially when a lot of us are volunteers and just kind of throw down when, you know, we look at the agenda and we start thinking about it when things are up and coming. So, but I can definitely get something out to get the ball rolling, because I think what I'm talking about really has more to do with updates than trying to change the course of the current MTPs that we're discussing and improving. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, AJ, or excuse me, SJ, my apologies. How do other committee members feel about this? I think I would probably look to our next quarterly meeting to take action on that. We'd have the resolution to review, because I know that gathering everybody in one spot can also be kind of a thing. Like you said, we are all volunteers right there. Any feedback from everybody?
This is Bob French. I think it sounds like there's probably time to be able to handle the next quarterly meeting. But one of the things that came to mind as SJ was talking about all of this is that, you know, we've seen some significant changes in our traffic due to COVID here. And it seems to me that it would be pretty interesting to see what has changed in the actual traffic counts that are being done. And, you know, if there's a need to perhaps update some of those models.
So I have a point of order, just so I can know this in the back of my head. Craig, we are a subcommittee of AMATS. Do we have the ability to create committees?
Are you suggesting, is there a possibility of having a subcommittee of the CAC that deals with this this resolution, et cetera?
Correct. I'm not necessarily saying we do that, but I just wanted to know if it was even an option.
I don't think that would be a problem if you wanted to have a little subcommittee there. I mean, everything that you create that you want to send to the policy committee has to go through the technical advisory committee. So however you want to create it is fine. If you want to have you know, a temporary or an ad hoc subcommittee that deals with this resolution, that's fine.
Well, I just think the more people that we have involved with this resolution, I think the more buy-in we would have community-wide. Not trying to take a cop-out, but my time is pretty thin these days. I probably would not step up. But is there anybody else that would be? Bob, are you interested?
Sorry, I got to get off mute. I'm pretty busy right now, so maybe not. But I certainly, you know, if there's something that goes out for comment, I would probably be able to find time to do that. Okay.
Is there anybody that would like to offer the same opportunity that I kind of mentioned to Bob right there? Is there anybody else that would like to work together with SJ? Or would everybody just like?
Yes, this is Mike Fenster. I wrote a note on the chat that I'd be willing to help him with that.
Perfect. That's awesome, Mike.
This is Jonathan Lang, and if again, we've expressed that there's not necessarily any kind of a rush, but depending on the outcome of what SJ and Mike come up with, if they have something to us in the next couple of weeks, that's something that we could review and then potentially schedule a special meeting.
Yeah, that sounds great. Is there anybody else that would like to participate with those two? So I don't know if we need to call it a committee or not. And first of all, SJ, would you be willing to work with Mike?
Sorry, yes, yeah, I'd be happy to work with Mike on that, so.
Awesome, okay. So maybe the two of you can exchange numbers, and when you get something in front of us, we can make comment, and then based off of that point, we can make it a determination if we feel that we need to call, and I'll totally support calling a special meeting if that's what the will of the body is, but yeah, I think that's a great plan. Any other comments before we move to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, there is a comment in the chat from the public, so I'm just going to read it. I have no on this. Affects Gamble Corridor and Fourth Avenue that impacts that will be addressed. I'm assuming. How do I know when business that are impacted will be addressed?
So I apologize, Craig, if that was on my side or not, but I got scrambled there just for a second. Do you mind repeating? So it's in the chat, you said, the comment?
The comment's in the chat. I can try reading it again.
Yes, please.
I'm not sure. The microphone on my computer is giving me trouble these days. It says, this is from Jack Pomerantz. It says, I am interested in anything that affects Gamble Corridor and 4th Avenue traffic. How do I know when business that impacts that will be addressed?
Guess I wasn't completely clear on his comment. So he would like to be informed when projects could have implications for Gamble. Is that kind of a synopsis of that question or statement there?
How I take it there. When businesses that are impacted by stuff on Gamble and 4th Avenue, how those businesses will know and how those impacts will be addressed.
Well, I think if those projects are where the source of that project, I think it's a big determination. If it's a state transportation improvement project, I think that would fall on DOT. And James, can you elaborate on what is DOT's procedure for informing the public of ongoing projects other than DOT fairs?
Ongoing projects outside of DOT projects?
No, I'm saying for DOT, whenever they're trying to inform the public for any projects going on, what's their process they do?
Most, if not all, DOT projects have a project website that is accessible through our pages. I can actually pull that up real quick. Yeah, our Central Region homepage has a link to projects under Central Region Info, and that contains probably 50 different links to things from the AIA field maintenance storage yard to planning documents.
Are there public notice requirements that they have to post signs before a project is to begin a certain period ahead of time?
As far as a posting on site,
yeah,
I
thought there was.
I don't know to what extent that has to be done, or if it does. That's you know, when it comes to construction projects, you know, that's you know, there are a number of phases in a project before you get to construction, and so during all of that, there, you know, one of the first things that is required is a public
construction, not design.
Right, but a construction project has numerous other phases before it: the design, the right of way, oftentimes utility phases come before that. So construction doesn't happen until design, after design. And when you start a design project, there is a public information or public involvement plan that has to be created as part of that project. And generally those start with at least to have a website. So the Central Region Projects list of websites gives you basically every project in Central Region that's being done right now. And as
so you need to be aware of the project is pretty much, if you were aware of the project, you could do research, but you're not necessarily aware of any type of mechanism for notification. Obviously, large scale projects, usually the media is going to be covering.
Well, no, public involvement plans generally include mailers to people in that area, notifications to the community councils.
Perfect.
I mean, there are a number of ways to be informed without actually signing up for any particular mailing, but you know, there is inevitably there is an inevitable missing of interested constituents if you're waiting for the information to come to you. the chances of you not getting informed is likely.
But it sounds like there is outreach to businesses and neighbors, part of the communication plan.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes,
And as far
there is
as
always an effort made.
And as far as TIP projects go, what would be for somebody that didn't specifically know about the project, Craig, how does TIP dollars let people know about particular projects that are ongoing?
Well, all of the construction projects that are construction is managed by DOT, so
pretty much DOTs.
Same thing.
Whoever's making a coffee, if they could mute, would be awesome.
I was going to say something, but
That wasn't me.
Yeah, it's probably you, James. Okay. Yeah, so most of them are managed by DOT, so it'd fall under DOT's notification process. And some of the key things I did here with James is there is an intent to notify affected individuals with written notification. I don't know if there's any statutes requiring anything, but I think it is the intent of DOT to give prior notification. Well, I don't know how well that answered the gentleman's question or not, but try to make a run at it. Any other public comments?
There are no other public comments.
Okay, I'd get a motion to adjourn. How about?
I would motion to adjourn. Bob French.
Perfect. Jim seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We actually had a pretty good turnout.
yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
I will email
Thanks,
you
everyone.
all the attendance link.
Perfect.